Donald Trump has got a couple of different cases going on, right? One of them is this defamation case that happened with E.G. and Carroll. So I got a couple of articles we'll read about this. Excuse me. My boss, Dan, was actually the one that talked to me about this first. I said, did you hear about E.G. and Carroll? Did you hear about this stuff? And I couldn't find the particular thing that he was talking to me about, but he was saying, so this is alleged, according to my boss, Dan. This, he's a journalist. So, no, but he was listening to something. They're playing audio from E.G. and Carroll, and she's talking about how thrilled she is to spend this money, that she's like super jazzed, that she can find something that Donald Trump really hates that she can spend this money on. And let's see, this was the $83 million, January 26th. Here we go. Okay, let's go. Have you guys seen that video? It's fucking awesome. Jury orders Trump to pay $83 million for defaming columnist E. Jean Carroll. And this comes after the original lawsuit. This, we'll go over it. A New York jury on Friday ordered former President Donald Trump to pay a total of $83.3 million to E. Jean Carroll for ruining her credibility as an advice columnist when he called her a liar after she accused him of sexual assault. Also, Donald Trump lies about shit all the time, too. So it's crazy that the word of Donald Trump on somebody else's integrity is enough to waver other people's impression of you. If somebody else, Steve, right? Let's call Steve. We all know Steve. Steve is hanging out. Steve's a big fucking liar. Steve be lying all the time. If Steve starts talking shit about me to you, are you going to think that I'm a bad guy? Or are you going to think that Steve is a fucking asshole and says shit about people that makes that upset him? Probably the latter, right? So it's crazy that we're now going to award somebody $83 million for someone who says wild shit, saying wild shit about them. The jury awarded Carroll $65 million in punitive damages, $11 million for the damage to her reputation, and another $7.3 million. That's it, just another $7.3 million. Like, for what? Trump is almost certain to appeal the verdict. Despite the size of the penalty, the verdict was not unexpected. Judge Lewis Kaplan ruled even before the trial that Trump had in fact defamed Carroll. The jury only had to decide how much Trump owed her, not if he was liable. This was the second time Trump has been ordered to pay Carroll. Way to go, NPR. This is the second time Trump has been ordered to pay Carroll. Come on, man. God damn it, you guys are terrible fucking reporters. You got this huge staff. How big is the fucking staff at NPR? And you can't even edit a fucking article. This is the second time Trump has been ordered to pay Carroll. Ordered pay Carroll. Last year, he was mandated by a jury to pay $5 million for a separate instance of defamation. And that instance, I think, is when he was saying, like, she's not my type. That's, I didn't fuck her. I didn't whatever. In response, the Trump 2024 campaign issued a statement arguing without offering evidence that the trial is a political weapon. It almost definitely is. This woman, that's what Dan's point was that my boss, when he's like, she's talking about how upset she is, and then she's going on the show and she's talking about how thrilled she is, how excited she is to spend this money and all the stuff that she gets to do with it. Don't seem very upset for somebody whose fucking life has supposedly been ruined, because that's, the threshold for defamation is whether or not someone has done like financial damage to your livelihood based on the things that they said. I vote, but don't necessarily, this is Tiffany, I vote, but don't necessarily trust the system. But I would prefer they check IDs everywhere and encourage people to do research. My concern now lays with illegal immigrants voting. We'll talk about that more after this. We are going to talk about the immigration thing, because I've been thinking more about that lately. I got to think about these things a lot and like really taking a lot of information, kind of decide where I'm at with it. The bigger concepts, I mean. So I really appreciate that. I don't think the ID thing is bad. In Washington, we have all mail-in voting. I'm like, you can go to a voting station, I believe, but they also mail you your ballot, so you can do everything by mail-in voting. I didn't know it wasn't like that until maybe 2016, probably 2020. I thought everywhere you could mail-in vote. Didn't know that. Never really thought about it. I had ballots returned to me also because like my signature didn't match and stuff, so well, they're checking somehow, somebody's got to be looking at something if I'm getting it returned to me to make sure that I'm actually the person who signed this ballot. But I think it goes without saying, if I have questions about the voting machines, I have questions about the mail-in ballots as well. The whole system of voting is something I have a difficult time wrapping my brain around. I don't see how it works that well, but it is what it is. So I'm glad I'm not alone. I do think some form of identity check would be a good thing, especially with the influx of illegal immigration that we have had, and the prolific nature that false identification tends to have amongst the illegal population, which is what it is. You got to get things done, but also, if you don't have the right to vote here, you fucking don't get to vote, right? So we talked about this. If people can take it away from you, if anybody can do it, if it isn't reserved for the people who are with that right, the one that is actually kind of given to you by the state, because if they didn't exist, who the fuck are you voting for, right? So if it isn't actually reserved for you, then it isn't really right. It's totally a privilege, and they can give it to whoever they want. They can take it away from whoever they want, and we shouldn't be doing it. If there's no security enough, there's no reservation for a secured group, a selected group that's going to be doing that. I don't mean like, well, I do kind of mean that, but in general terms, I mean the people, the citizens of this country, then you shouldn't be doing it. There's no way to secure it. It means absolutely nothing. The integrity of the vote means nothing if there's no security on it. In response, the Trump 2024, absolutely ridiculous, said the statement. I fully disagree with both verdicts and will be appealing the whole Biden verdict, witch hunt focused on me and the Republican Party. The jury's decision comes just days after Trump won the New Hampshire primary and became the GOP frontrunner. The case is one of several involving Trump, who is also awaiting a verdict in a civil trial that could result in him paying at least $250 million to New York State for his business practices, which have been deemed by a judge to be fraudulent. We're going to talk about that one next. He could also be prohibited from doing business in the state where he made his name as a real estate mogul. In all, Trump faces 91 charges in federal and state trials, ranging from the ones in New York to those in the federal level relating to the January 6th Capitol riot. What is this case about? In 2019, Carroll, an advice columnist and freelance writer, accused Trump of sexually assaulting her in the 90s. The accusation, which was detailed in her book, was first previewed in a New York Magazine article. After the article's publication, Trump issued 2 statements in response to reporters, including one in which he outright denied her claim and said she was not my type. Carroll then sued Trump for defamation, arguing that his comments ruined her reputation as a trusted source in the media and resulted in a slew of insults and threatening messages, emails, and comments to her social media accounts. At the time, Trump's Attorney General Bill Barr blocked the lawsuit, arguing that Trump made the comments in his official capacity as president. This caused the lawsuit to be stuck in court for several years. In 2023, Biden's Justice Department reversed the course and allowed the first lawsuit in defamation to move forward, in part because of the 2023 decision that had been found Trump liable for assault. Judge Kaplan ruled that Trump had defamed Carroll in 2019, and the former president was also liable. Because he said that she's a liar, and so, because that's the argument, is that Donald Trump said that she's a liar, and because she gives advice, now people can't trust her advice because they think that she's a liar, and so he's ruined her reputation. I don't believe that. I think that that's dog shit. That's me personally. Carroll testified that she felt if Trump calling her a liar ended the world I had been living in. While she used to receive hundreds of emails asking for advice to her column email, she said she now received fewer than 10 a month. Instead, she said she received threats and insults. Carroll's lawyers showed the jury several social media posts, messages, and emails sent to Carroll in the following days after Trump's statements. In the following days, right? In the following days. So there are lots of people who have to take a temporary period off of work, right? Who have to take a leave of absence because something has happened and their ability to do work doesn't exist anymore, right? For that period of time. So Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba, argued damages ought not be traced back to Trump himself. Habba also showed the jury several social media posts, but these were posted in the 5-hour gap between Carroll's allegations being published and Trump making the comments he is being sued over. Habba is focused on the praise and support Carroll received for her allegation and questioned the writer's motive for suing and for deleting threats sent to her email. Why are you deleting shit to your email? Why are you deleting threats? If your intent is to sue, why are you deleting evidence? Why are you getting rid of your evidence? Oh, it's just too painful. Can't have it. Why do you care? If someone's that fucking dumb to write you an email threatening you, why do you give a fuck what they have to say? Why? It's just too scary for you to look at. It's too damaging. Why do you care? It's the same deal with Donald Trump. Why your listeners are so fucking influenced by Donald Trump that he said you're a liar and now nobody wants to hear you have to say? Your audience overlaps that much? You're super duper conservative just like Donald Trump is? That seems weird. That seems really, really weird that that's what the argument is. Your audience overlaps that much that you can't make money anymore. It seems super strange.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat everything.